Good. Welcome, everybody. And as more people are logging in, I see, let me just say this is being recorded, and we're going to talk about logistics mostly for the Rose Bowl half marathon this coming Sunday in just 3 days from now. And we're also going to talk about two other things, but about how to run the race. But first off, let me share this with you guys. Whoops. Because I just like to kick off something with a little fun. And here it is. You guys ready? Hopefully you can hear this. I'm not sure if you'll be able to or not. And here we go. Good. And there it was. I don't know. Could you guys hear the music in the background? Okay. Hopefully you can hear me talking.
We can
Um,
hear you, but not that video.
Not the music. Got it. Well, it's just some music. Anyway, that's a little preview of the Rose Bowl half. Obviously, this is the front of the stadium. The starting line is going to be right out the front of the stadium on the little street there. And we actually enter, I know they said this last week, but because it's logistic oriented, I'll say it again. There's a little gate right over here to the left of the front main gate. And we go right in there, show your wristband. Don't forget to get your wristband at the packet pickup. And we'll talk about when that is in just a minute. And then you walk right underground under the stadium and then into the locker rooms, which are over here underground, underneath this little plaza and all. At any rate, so much for that. We'll stop sharing that and get rid of it. So there we go. Now, I do want to share a picture of the locker room. This is where, whoops, there you go. Hopefully you can all see this. Um, this is where we're going to be. This is a picture from probably last year or the year before. I don't remember. At any rate, we are using the same signs as the last couple of years. We're probably going to change this out next year because we're going by every 10 minutes pace groups this year. Where next year we're hoping to go by every 5 minutes. Um, and so it'll be every 5 minutes. So we'll double the volume of pace groups that we have next year. But this year it's still the same. So that's kind of what it looked like. I'm guessing this was may have been like 2, 3 years ago when this picture was taken. Um, oh yeah, definitely. Because I see a lot of very old shirts on and the yellow shirts. I don't see any of our, certainly none of our blue shirts. Anyway, okay, so that's that. That's where we're going to be in the locker room. It's obviously really warm. We do have way more bathrooms for you guys this time. Instead of the bathrooms that are along this wall or in the back there, we do have a whole other building of bathrooms that we never really thought to use. And we're going to be using that this time. It's the stadium bathrooms that have always been open for staff the people outside the stadium, the people who are lining up for the starting line, they cannot use those bathrooms because they can't get into the stadium until they run into the stadium, for the finish line. But the start line does not have access to these bathrooms and the stadium. So that you just kind of walk out, the entryway door that you go into to get into this giant room. It's way bigger than what it appears. At any rate, um, and outside the stadium, but inside the gate, is a building with stadium bathrooms. So it doesn't have the nice tile flooring, but they are flush toilets, and there are a million of them. So we're not going to have any backup with bathroom people standing online waiting to get into these bathrooms along the side here. No more of that. So, okay. Let me, good. Okay. Let me go. Let me just talk about one thing really, really quick. And then we're going to get into some other real logistical stuff. I failed to mention last week that the 80-minute rule, right, is calculate where you are. I'm sharing this for the next discussion. Calculate where you are with 80 minutes to go to the finish line. Got it? So if you are a 2:15 half marathoner, right? That would be 10:18 average pace per mile. Where would you be with 80 minutes left to go? Well, 80 divided by 10, for a simple example, would be basically 8.1 miles to go. So, like, basically at what is 8 miles minus 13 would be basically about mile five something, five and a quarter, whatever, five and a half to play it safe. If you are a 2:15 um, half marathoner, call it about mile five and a half, you have 80 minutes left to go. Okay, so that's just one simple example. What is the importance of 80 minutes left to go and calculating this thing? And I meant to say this last week, but the importance is the average person, non-pro, adult athlete, marathoner, has about 80 minutes of glycogen at a little bit higher than what we consider half marathon race pace, what we call lactate threshold, um, but a little higher than that. And if you are within that 80-minute window, whoops, if you're within that 80-minute window, then you can, hang on, let me just pin this. There we go. And there I am. Okay. If you're within that 80-minute window, you just burn up all the glycogen, right? So if you get to mile five and you're a 2:15 half marathon finisher, meaning 10:18 average pace, mile five and a half, I should say, and you feel really good, like you're just getting started, speed up, leave the group behind you, speed up just a little bit, and slowly pull ahead of that group. And use that extra energy that you got and burn it out over the last 80 minutes of your race. You may need to take in a gel or two along the way, or even before that. You might even want to use some caffeine in a gel, caffeinated gels along the way toward the end to give you a little more energy because caffeine does that. Hopefully, if you want to use caffeine, you've kind of slowly weaned yourself off of caffeine, like I talked about for the LA Marathon over the last few weeks or days. So the caffeine will have a greater impact on you during the race because you haven't taken caffeine in the form of coffee or tea or anything in the last couple of days or weeks. But all good. But what I really want to show you about this, it's an old thing. I never changed the name Pasadena Half. It's now called the Rose Bowl Half over the last few years. But the course is identical. And actually, I did change it from like another drink to electrolyte. So it has been updated. I just never changed the name. Anyway, I want you to take a look at mile three, right? The pace, average pace per mile is 10:18 for a 2:15 half marathon, right? Now, look at from mile two to mile three, the average, keep in mind, mile two to mile three, you're going up 142 foot of elevation. This is by far the biggest climb in the entire half marathon. 142 foot vertical in 1 mile is pretty significant. Okay. Now, from mile two to mile three, keep in mind, before you hit mile three, You'll be running up Orange Grove. That's where most of this uphill is. You'll hit Colorado, where you'll take a right turn, and you'll see me looking at you as you come up that big hill. And when you take a right turn, it's a little bit of downhill, and then you'll hit mile 3. So part of this average pace is actually that little bit of downhill after you've come up Orange Grove and you've taken a right turn on Colorado after you see me. Keep in mind the Norton Simon Museum is kind of across the street, catty corner. So it's a little bit of downhill included in that mile 2 to mile 3. Got it? So this is average pace from 2 to 3, not the entire uphill. So the truth be told, that pace that you're looking at, 12:04 pace, which is about 40 something seconds slower per mile, excuse me, a minute and 40 seconds slower per mile for this particular finish time group, 2:15, than the average pace. That is a significant reduction in pace, a minute 40 plus. And it's probably going to be even a little bit slower than that because of that little area between where you turn right onto Colorado and you hit mile 3. So that's a really significant thing. You do have a half a mile of uphill before that, but that was calculated into the mile 1 and 2 because some of it is flat, some of it is a little downhill, and then you do have a half mile uphill. So you're really not seeing a fluctuation in pace, but you're going to need to have a fluctuation in pace for that half mile. For right off the gate, it does go down 82 feet, but then it does go up about a half a mile in a significant kind of way. I want to say it's probably about 80-foot vertical climb, something like that. But then you're also going down, so it's not really seen in these in these pace times. Um, but the split times are fairly accurate. If you are a fast runner, make it 132 or faster, 130 to 130, 140, 150 group, even a little bit to 2 hour. You are going to be a little faster coming up. Your drop in pace will not be as big a percentage as this kind of middle of the pack. We do not actually have a 215 group. We have a 210, a 220, a 230, a 245, and then a 3 hour from 2 hour on. But this is kind of mid-range. Those 2+ hour groups to 230, that's really going to be in this percentage of drop. Then you got your 245, which is a little less percentage, and your 3 hour, of course, is a less percentage drop again. And the reason for that is that at the end, when you're dropping your pace that much early on, minute 40, maybe even closer, minute 50, 55, you're not going to make up that much time toward the end. Your mile 13 is, a minute 20 faster here because it is a downhill. And I'll discuss that in a sec. It is a downhill, so it's a minute 20 faster. You do actually finish on a downhill, unlike the LA Marathon. But so you're not going to be able to make up that much more speed when you're finishing at an hour, 30 hour, 40 hour, 50, or even 3 hours, even sort of 245. I hope that makes sense. So you're going to need to speed up the mile 2 to 3 a little more than, your percentage will be a little faster, but then it'll be also a little faster at the end, but not as fast. It'll be a little slower than what we're looking at. All right. When you come down to along the side of the stadium, you come down this big, the Arroyo Parkway kind of curls down. I talked about this last week. I'll say it again right now. You come down, you hit the side of the stadium. You're still a good parking lot away, which I'll show you logistics in a minute. But you're on this side street and you're now going up a 60-foot vertical in a little over a mile. And remember, I said you hit that in the back of the golf course. You hit, so you'll feel a little heavier there. But in the back of the golf course, you hit this little hump that's maybe like a little more than a 5-foot hump over the drainage ditch that goes under the road across the golf course there. And I'll show you that in a minute. So you might feel a little heavier because there's a slight unseen uphill to that little hump in the road. But then from that hump in the road, and this is key to your race, if you haven't already started speeding up, whatever you got left, whoops, that from that little hump to the finish line is a 60-foot vertical drop. So whatever you got left, go for it. Use it. Forget your group. Meet up with them after the finish corral. And please, please, again, don't stay in the finish line corral because it's a shorter race. You're going to have more people coming in at the same time, and they tend to get backed up. And don't want to back everyone up so no one can run across the finish line. You don't want to pile up before the finish line or even right after the finish line. So please take pictures when you go around to the football field. You finish on the sideline of the football field on the lawn, but then you kind of walk around the fence and you can lay out on the football field. Take a break, take pictures. There's a little fence and there's the finish line. You can take pictures with the finish line with you in the background. So anyway, that's a little bit of logistics. So 60-foot vertical up, you may feel a little heavier, but then right after that hump, 60-foot vertical drop, and you're going to the finish line and running right in that side of the front of the stadium and watch your footing. I said this last week, watch your footing. It's not street asphalt with the rough asphalt. It's concrete, so it tends to be a little smoother. So watch your footing, and it'll also on a sunny day like today, it's going to be a little shaded in there. So especially if you're wearing dark sunglasses, it'll take a couple seconds for your eyes to adjust. And probably within that time, your eyes will have adjusted, and then suddenly you'll get hit by sun again as you enter the stadium. So it is supposed to be a cloudy day, so this may not be a factor. No rain expected. It's supposed to be about, I think it was 47 degrees to 61 degrees, something like that. It's supposed to be a cool, perfect day. Definitely wear a warm jacket in the morning. Leave it in the locker room. Again, make sure you get that wristband to get into the locker room. That is such a plus perk to have. Leave your jacket in the locker room. And then after you come around the stadium and they have all the food and stuff, you exit on the same pathway going out of the stadium as you kind of came in the opposite direction. And basically, you just take a turn into the hallway and right into the locker room, get your stuff, and then you can exit with everybody else, the crowd going in that direction. And the expo is like I showed right in the front of that stadium in that picture. That's where the expo is, where there was little tables and the huge entrance into the stadium. You can go up into the bleachers, watch your friends finish if you're waiting for them. They have free drink of beer. And so hang out at the expo. It's right in that you come out of the tunnel and you can go right into the expo there after you get your clothes and stuff. Okay. Enough of this. I'm going to get rid of that spreadsheet. Whoops. And good. Now let's jump on to, I have a couple chat questions. So Enrique, thank you. I had two people saying that there was no sound. Thanks, you guys. Anyway, let's jump on the logistics. Here we go. And let's share that. Good. Here you go. Now you're probably seeing times of the Rose Bowl half. Let's start with Friday. Um, Packet pickup is Friday only at the Rose Bowl. Rose Bowl only on Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Packet pickup both days is actually 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. All locations, as you're about to see. But Friday, it's only at the Rose Bowl. I will be at the Rose Bowl on Friday. You will see our LA Roadrunner awning, which will not be there in Santa Monica because they don't have the space. But you'll see it at on Friday with me under it. And then you'll see at the Rose Bowl. And then Saturday, you'll see that same awning at the Rose Bowl with somebody else under it. I think Alex will be there on Saturday. You'll note same times, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. in Santa Monica at the Big Five store. I will be there Saturday at the Big Five store, but you can get your wristband at any one of these, either Friday at the Rose Bowl. And by the way, if you think of the Rose Bowl as like a kind of an oval, and this is the front of the Rose Bowl where that picture was, where the expo is or will be, it's kind of around like halfway down the side of the Rose Bowl. If you hit the golf course, you've gone too far down that side road. There's a little driveway, and it's a little parking lot on the side there. On the right side, if you're facing the front of the stadium, where the giant rose is above the stadium, it's about there's a little driveway about halfway down. Free parking race day. So no paying for parking. We'll get to parking in a minute. But if you hit that golf course, you've gone a little bit too far. You've missed the driveway. Okay. Anyway, that's where the Rose Bowl, I don't want to call it an expo, but packet pickup is. There's really nothing there except getting your bib number, getting your wristband for kid to get into our little area there that I showed you a picture of, the locker rooms. That's kind of it. Um, I think I will have a map you can look at, but you could see the map online. No real need to check that out. By the way, you should know if you're coming to Saturday morning, the Big Five Sporting Goods store at 8 o'clock at our normal Santa Monica location, which is just off San Vicente. And on Ocean Avenue, just a few feet down Ocean Avenue, north on Ocean Avenue from San Vicente, where San Vicente hits Ocean Avenue. That's like the cliff overlooking the ocean kind of thing. Anyway, right before our normal location. Right beyond, there's a big bathroom there. There's some picnic tables there. Right beyond that, at 8 a.m., we're going to have what's on our schedule this week. You'll note the schedule tapers down, so nothing tomorrow, day off, complete day off tomorrow. Then 10 minutes on Saturday, which you could do on your own at your home. But if you wanted to come out to the Big Five Sporting Goods store to get your packet pickup at 9 a.m., you may want to come out at 8 a.m., meet us at our normal Santa Monica location for the off season. I should explain the off season because the on season was Fairmont, and we're hoping to be back at the Fairmont again for our on season starting in September, but that's not till September. But before that, we're meeting with the LA Roadrunners and the totem pole location off Ocean Avenue, right near San Vicente there. So 10-minute run, then we all go to Big Five Sporting Goods, and they open up at 9. I will be there at a table with wristbands again. And again, Rose Bowl will also have wrist bowl bands for any of you who live out or near in the valley. So, okay, there is that. Now, let me open up some other things. Here we go. Parking. Here we go. Parking. Here we are. Well, I guess you could read this. Be prepared for traffic as early as 5 a.m. on race day morning. Plan ahead and arrive early. And I'll show you about street closures that add to that motivation too. The race will start promptly at 7 a.m. and will not be delayed by late arrivals. Um, you probably won't have to worry about that if you get there on time and you're in the locker rooms. Oh, by the way, the locker room opens at about 5:30. Normally they do have that's the official time. Normally they do have the locker room open before that. I'm not betting on it. The official time is 5:30, but please note we leave or get ready. We sort of leave at 6:15 on Sunday morning. Oh, I forgot to show you times for Sunday. I can go back to that. But anyway, Sunday morning to go to the race, to go to the starting line, we kind of like leave at 6:15, but we'll have a picture. You'll note all those people in the back of the locker room. That was our, that year's picture. We'll do that again. We get everybody to move back to the back of the locker room at 6:15. So plan on walking out the door at 6:15, even though you will be kind of ushered to the back of the locker room for the picture. And then right after that, I have my 2 minute, 3 minute, all right, little speech, my little story that I tell every race, the Rose Bowl half, and then the big speech is really before the LA Marathon, but I'll do that. And then together we all go out to the starting line, especially pace leaders, because people need to see their pace leaders. It'll take, a few minutes to get through the crowd and get into the corral, even though we're, like kind of right outside the stadium is where it is. So pace leaders really do need to leave right away, get lined up in order with a good, 50 feet or so in between, depending on the group. And I'll help with that. And so really be ready, arrive there 5:30 to go into the locker room, and then be ready to leave at 6:15. Like I said, you may want to arrive before 5 o'clock just because, like the thing said, the traffic does start to back up then. The sooner you arrive, the closer you will get to this little oval here, which is the stadium. This is obviously the front of the stadium where my little pointer is, and we're underground in there. And the starting line, by the way, is this street, this little street right in between these parking lots. That's really the starting line. The starting line is kind of right in here somewhere, and it goes all the way back and kind of around this area in here where it kind of like L shapes around or J shapes around for the very, very back of the starting line. There are no blocked off corrals. In other words, there's no, like the LA Marathon had these closed corrals and then the open corral, and the closed corrals had different closed corral. None of that. It's just one giant line of people. Usually it's about 8,000 people. They're sold out. I'm not sure how many people are going to be there this year. The fires really kind of screwed things up. They couldn't sell more regular tickets because for a short period, when they sold out, when it was going to be in January, they said, hey, if you want to get in, it's through the McCourt Foundation only. So there were a bunch of people that signed up with the McCourt Foundation, and for them to open up a cheaper entryway other than the McCourt Foundation would not have been fair to those who signed up with the McCourt Foundation and paid a little more just to get in. So you can still sign up with the McCourt Foundation, I believe, and get in. It's a good charity. It goes to neurological research, which is what the McCourt Foundation is. In fact, I believe it's like $350, $400. I'm not sure, but you can, I believe, still sign up and get in that way. Um, so there may, because of that reason, maybe fewer people this year at the Rose Bowl, sadly, because that fire really screwed up everything. And so if you see fewer people on, the corrals, you may understand that's why they're trying to be very fair to everybody, and they do that with a lot of different things. This is just one little insider thing where they are trying to be really fair. So these are the parking lots where you can park. This parking lot D is where you'll essentially park for the expo right off of Rosemont Avenue. So the race actually runs right down this street right here, which I believe is called West Street or something like that. Anyway, so you will be that far away from the stadium when you run by the stadium with, roughly almost 3 miles left to go. And then, of course, you run around the back of the golf course and then come back. You enter the stadium like right over here on the side. There's a little you kind of enter over here right beyond the parking lot and a little driveway there that you're not seeing. And then it runs around and right into the stadium and then into well, it's like right over here. And then right through the underground and into the football field. And you end right on the side of the stadium there. You can walk all the way around. And then this whole middle of the field is all open. You can just hang out and catch sun. Lie down in the middle of the field. Please do not lie down in the finish area. But in the middle of the football field, you're good to go. Oops, I just didn't really mean to open that, but all right, what the heck. Anyway, any one of these lots is where you can park for free. This lot I is right down here, is where the aquatic center is right down here at the end of it, if you recall. And that lot I, right in the middle, sort of, is where we parked last Saturday when we met with the Pasadena Pacers to run with them, just to give you a kind of logistical perspective. So there you go. That's enough of that one. And really briefly, I just want to show you just the map of street closures. Street closures, as you're about to see, the whole route. This is the route. You start here, you run all the way around here. All of this, you run up here and then up here and then up here, and then you start heading back. And all of these are street closures. They're all going to be closed, the whole course. And a little beyond it, figure like at least a block beyond it, the whole thing is going to shut down. You look at all this like at 6 o'clock. These are all your street closures. And basically, it's primarily the race course and a little around it. So be very careful. If you're coming after 6 o'clock, there's this very narrow window. Before 5, you won't have a lot of traffic. After 6, you're going to have problems getting into the stadium and with the street closures and that nightmare and all of that. Friends and family, if they're coming after 6 o'clock, they almost might do best to either meet you. By the way, there's mile 3. You can see Orange Grove goes up, and then there's a little bit of distance between where Orange Grove hits Colorado, where it suddenly goes down a bit, and mile 3. Got it? I mentioned that several times earlier. So they might even do well to go to mile 3, and then this part of Orange Grove is closed to traffic, but it is not closed to foot traffic. And you basically can walk down there, walk down this side street, and there's a little dirt path right there, and take that dirt path all the way to the stadium, which is what I do. So if you see me, I will have taken this dirt path up to the side street over the freeway there, and then you will see me right there, right as you climb to the top of the hill. You'll be almost at mile 3. I'll be a hair over mile 1. I usually beat the front runners of the race, and I feel cool in doing it. Of course, they went 3, I went 1. Forget it. Anyway, and I barely beat them. That's another story. Um, so that's it for logistics. Does anybody have any questions about any of that?
You want you wanted to go back to the Sunday timeline about
The Sunday timeline. Let me see if I can't pull it back up again. Um, Here we go. Hang on, let me share and move to the other thing. Hang on a sec. I just have to wait for this to go away. Here we go. Here we go. Now you're probably seeing it. Sunday. There you go. Um, 4 in the morning, the lot opens. Actually, you can probably get in a little before 4 o'clock, but and there are some free shuttles you can look up that go from in town. But the problem is where the shuttles leave from, that parking lot charges $10 to park, where if you just drive down to the stadium, it's free parking. So, I mean, there are shuttles. If you're running late, you can park in one of those areas that there are some $5 lots up in the Pasadena area. You can run over to that parking lot, the $10 parking, take a shuttle for free to the stadium because they want to make it a little easier for everybody. That's 4 o'clock. The parking opens, like I said, at 4 o'clock. Prepaid bib pickup opens at 5. Hopefully, none of you have to deal with all of that. Hopefully, you can pick up your bib either tomorrow or Saturday. Um, but yes, there is prepaid. You have to pay for it in advance, a special fee. I want to say it's $10. I'm not sure. And then VIP, and we are kind of there is a VIP tent, but we are also VIP. Our VIP locker room opens at 5:30, probably a little earlier. There is a big white tent that you have to have a special wristband to get into. That's right in front of the entryway to the stadium. Our entryway, like I said, is a little left behind that, a little left of the main entry to the stadium. Anyway, and then your half marathon starts at 7, and the kids race, which is always fun to watch, and the kids race starts at 10:45. So go out of the stadium if you're already out of the stadium and you want to watch something fun. Leave the expo. You can always go back to the expo and watch the kids run into the stadium from just where the starting line is, goes reverse. They have our starting line, but instead of us going out, they're going in and they go right into the stadium and they finish. They start on our starting line, they finish on our finish line, and that's the kids' run. It's very cool. They get to run underground into the stadium, and what is it, like 200-foot vertical? Oh, excuse me, 200-meter long race, something like that. I don't know. But it should be really cool for those kids. They do it every year, running into the stadium. And anyway, that's that. Of course, Lucy will not be here on Sunday. Right now, she is in London. London Marathon is Sunday, but the London Marathon is a kids marathon, which is Saturday, with 18,000 children. You can only imagine what that would be. Imagine the LA Marathon was probably the starting line was filled with over 22,000. Picture 18,000 kids at the London Kids Marathon, the London's Kids Race, it's a marathon, on Saturday. The marathon is on Sunday in London. And they hired her and shipped her out there. Originally, she was going to cancel because the Rose Bowl half was going to be in January. Life was good. It all worked out. And everybody said, damn it, go. And it all looks like it's going to work out well. And we're really proud of her that the London Marathon tapped her to fly her out there to London Marathon, the kids race. I think that is very, very, very cool. And anyway, so I think that pretty much sums it up. Like I said, be ready to walk out the door at 6:15, although that's when we'll have our picture and then my quickie little talk, and then we really will walk out the door together, especially our pace leaders really do need to walk out the door. At like it'll be like 6:30, but we'll start at 6:15 to do that whole thing. So be ready to go at 6:15. And there you go. Any other questions about any of that?
Quick question, Coach. This is
Sure.
Enrique. Hi.
Hi.
Um, so basically, there's two parkings, Lot K, and then the Parsons lot, which is maybe 6 miles away. Uh,
No, there are a bunch of parking lots around the stadium. I mean, let me show you that again. There are a bunch of parking lots around the stadium. Hang on one sec. Whoops. Here you go. I'm glad we're recording all of these questions. Um, Here we go. Here's the parking. So these are huge parking lots, by the way. All of these dark blue areas, these are huge parking lots. And Lot I is, as you saw from if you were there last Saturday, that in and of itself is a huge parking lot. So there is ample, keep in mind, these are the parking lots most, I think maybe all, because up here it's all golf course. How many people does the Rose Bowl itself? How many can
100,000?
100,000. Okay, so you're looking at 100 parking for 100,000 people, except for this little red area here. That will not be parking because we run through that little area, right? But other than that tiny little parking lot there, there's parking for what is that, 80, 90,000 people? I don't think anyone is going to have problem finding parking.
right. Thank you,
Got the
Coach.
Yeah. The other parking is up on top of the hill, up on Colorado, right? Off of Colorado, I should say. And I just don't see a reason to pay $10 and take a bus to get down here. The only reason I could foresee doing that is really if you're just running late and it's like 6 o'clock and the streets are closed and you can't get beyond the barricades. I've heard of maybe one or two people looking on their cell phone frantically, going to those parking lots, paying the $10, getting the bus, and the bus will take them to the starting line. But don't go that late. Do yourself a favor, and after 5 o'clock, even plan on a good 20 extending as the time progresses, good 20, 30 minutes just to get into a parking area because this street right here and this street right here, they all just back up. They do. I'll give you a little secret. Um, if you come off the freeway, which you can't really see up here, if you're taking the freeway, what is it, like the 134 to the whatever, the exit there? And you get off and you drive like up Orange Grove. If you drive up Orange Grove, there's a little road that will take you to this street over here, which most people are on, and this whole street backs up for like a mile. I mean, when the time really progresses, I mean, that big. But if you stay on Orange Grove and pass this street where everyone's going and go all the way down, there's a little church on the corner and Rosemont Avenue, it is really dark. Um, I think there's a traffic light right there, but Rosemont Avenue, just remember Rose Bowl, Rosemont. Take Rosemont, there's like no traffic on that street at least until you hit this Seco Street right here. But then you're already down there. You're not a mile backed up over Linda Vista Avenue up here. Got it? It's a huge, huge secret little pathway. Got it? Rosemont. Remember Rose Bowl, Rosemont Avenue. Um, that's a huge, I forgot to mention that. That is a huge plus on race day morning. If you're getting there at 4:30, who cares? You can take, it's shorter this way. You know, you don't need to go the extra distance. What the hell? But yeah, I almost always take Rosemont and I get there at like 4:30. Um, I also like to park in Area H, which is a dirt parking lot. Usually they have that one open. And usually I can get to park right close to the street where the starting line is. So I can, throw my jacket in the car and whatever and run up the hill, run my little run up the hill to see you guys at mile 3. So there you go. Hopefully that answered that question. Park around the stadium. It's free. A lot of parking. And they have those guys with the hand things, and they'll motion you into the next space and the next row and all that. So it's very well attended and organized, and like the Dodger Stadium was, all these. So, David, you have a question? I see your hand up.
Yes, your secret entrance was recorded.
I
Your secret.
know.
So you'll
People
have to edit it out or bleep it out.
bleep it out. I may just leave it in. I don't know how many people will watch this, but yeah, it's a really great, great tip. Yeah. I almost always go that way anyway. It's just, I don't know why. I just do it.
Is it good for exit as well, for leaving?
Yeah. Yeah. It's good for leaving. Absolutely. Yeah. You just drive over there and right out. It's all residential area where the other street is part residential area and kind of part cliff. But that's entirely residential area. And of course, some of the areas right around the Rose Bowl the houses are really, really nice. I mean, the latter part of the race, if you really look to your left, as you're coming down that hill toward the Rose Bowl, you may see a couple some severe mansions, old money, um, severe mansions. Anyway, what the heck? Any other questions before I turn off the recording?
Yeah, hi, Coach David. Thank you for all the information. I really appreciate it. Question for you. I know you said that we could keep things in the locker room, unlike the LA Marathon, where we just everyone throws sweaters and throws pants, all of that sort of on the course. Does that not really happen with the half? And, I guess some people might do it if they don't have access to this locker room, but if they do, like I could leave a sweater and then come back for it later sort of thing.
And the cool thing about that is you walk right after you exit the stadium, you walk under that same underground pathway that goes right to, when you enter, you go down underground and then you go into that pathway. When you exit the stadium, you walk the opposite direction and then you just take a left into that same hallway and then into the same locker room. So it's all perfectly centrally located for exiting the stadium for the starting line and exiting the actual field to just exit the stadium after your race. So yeah, absolutely. It's all carpeted. There, you couldn't really see it from my picture, but there are these little kind of wooden areas. They're kind of cubby holes. They're not lockers with the wooden door, but they're little wooden kind of framed things on the wall, and you could kind of like put, something in it, like the football players do. This is the locker room that one of the teams will use before and after the football game in the Rose Bowl. That's what we got. So it's very different from the Dodger Stadium, which is a little warmer. It's a shelter. This is total shelter. It's heated. It's well lit. There's no exterior wall. It's a hallway to get there. And you could leave a bag on the floor. You could leave a bag on one of those tables. I will have my pace leader signs on the front table there. That was, if you recall, those little round tables that were in there. Yeah, ample space. It's perfect. Just take off your coat, walk out to the starting line. When you finish, get your coat on. It's going to be a little, lower 60s. It's still a little chilly, especially when you're all sweaty and you finish a race. Bring a dry t-shirt. You can go into the bathroom. You can go into the bathroom, um, take off your t-shirt and put on a dry t-shirt and put on your jacket. You're warm and dry. There you go. It's a really, really cool perk. And feel please use it to its fullest.
Okay, that's great. I really appreciate that. And so it's not too cold though from like the time that you're like, I mean, it's obviously still early in the morning. It'll be a little cold from the time you're leaving that locker room to the start time, but people are usually fine in their t-shirt and short during that shorter period, would you say?
Well, question this. Obviously, when you run or run, walk, or walk, you generate a lot of heat, especially the fastest runners generate a lot of heat. Um, if you're not going to run really hard out or run, walk, or walk really hard out, if you're not going to generate a lot of heat, ask yourself, where would you be if it was like 58 degrees out? What would you need to wear? Would you want to wear a long sleeve t-shirt? Would you wear, for me, in this given temperature, for me, keep in mind I'd probably be a lot slower. I would probably wear a running shirt and then a long sleeve running shirt over it. And I would leave my winter coat inside the locker room with a dry shirt and a dry sweatshirt in the locker room and a dry, coat. That's what I would do. So ask yourself, what would you do if it was like 55 to 62 degrees outside? Um, because we've run in that. We've showed up at the totem pole, we've left our jackets at the totem pole. That's kind of the weather we're going to have this Sunday. So do that. Did that make sense?
Yeah, that did. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Great. Okay, good. Yeah, I know a lot of people just walk out there in t-shirts and shorts and, all good. Um, we do generate a lot of body heat being next to each other in a starting line corral as we do, but, heat rises, so it's not the best. Anyway, there you go. David, you have a question?
Alternatively, you
Yeah.
could wear your coat up to start time if your car is near the race course. You could take a small detour quickly and dump your coat or your sweater into your car and resume. And
True.
then you also have your dry at the end, your dry clothes in your car. So locker, but at those 45 minutes before the start, if you need a sweater, you can detour to your car. I imagine they won't, as long as you have your bib on. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it should
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, absolutely true. That's why I often park in that dirt lot on the chance that when it's open. It's not always open, I found on for the Rose Bowl. So don't always plan on that. But yeah, sure. If you get there at 4 in the morning and you park really close to the stadium, sure, why not? You could do that. You could, you know, uh, hang out. I know people in the past who are not with us, who do not have locker room access, who have actually stayed in their car until like 10 minutes before the starting time, and then they walk the little short distance over to the starting line. So there you go. By the way, there is that one lot way over to the side, and I don't know if you saw it. There is that stream that goes between that one lot and the stadium, but there is a walkway down, kind of like at the almost the end of that parking lot. There is a walkway over that little stream. You don't have to go all the way out to the street and then come back in again. Um, just go across that little walkway. It's not a driveway, it's a walkway. And you're right at the front of the entrance of the stadium. If you're parked in that outer lot on the side of the stadium, right where our water table was, where our water table was last Saturday, that parking lot, there is a little walkway to get to the stadium, a shortcut. A lot of people walk way out and around to the street. No need. Um, anyway, um, any other questions before I pause the recording? Going once, going twice, going three times. I will stay online just in case anyone has any other questions, not regarding the race or whatever. But for those of you at home watching the recorded version of this, I say good night or good day, and thank you very much for watching. We will see you all at the finish line. Take care, you guys, and take it slow in those first 3 miles, where the mile uphill and the half mile before it on the uphills. Take it a little slower. Take care, you guys. Have fun.